Welcome back to another installment of Let's Enhance Valheim, because that's what we're calling it now. In my previous video, I gave my thoughts on what a complete and wholly developed Mistlands could look like. And with that, I tackled one of the three currently unfinished biomes in Valheim. The other two being the Ashlands and Deep North biomes. And from the title, you can discern for today's video that I'll be talking about the hot and humid Ashlands. The Ashlands and Deep North biomes could take place after the plains, and that after defeating Uglith, you are given the choice of venturing up to the Deep North or to the Ashlands as a sort of branching path that you have to take. But now, let's take a deep dive into the Ashlands inhabitants. Of course, your most common baddie would be the Surtling, which already spawns in abundance in the Ashlands. Nothing to change there. And introducing our first new enemy, the Fire Wyvern, a flamey counterpart to the common Drake, which would shoot exploding fireballs and drop heat glands instead of frost glands, like the drakes. Another fiery foe would be the rare Obsidian Golem, much like the stone golems of the mountains, with its attacks hurling molten globs at you and punching you. You know, because it does that. And these big boys would drop catalyst crystals. More about that later. And with that, we're already on to the big bad of the biome, the Magma Incarnate. A giant heap of molten magma and obsidian rock scattering its body. This boss would be immune to all attacks that hits its inner magma. Only when the obsidian deposits scattered around its body are attacked will true damage be dealt. He would summon 3 giant fire tornadoes around him that would move about, dealing huge damage. He would also cast a highly lethal lava pools under and around the player, lingering for quite a time. He would also shoot out a flamethrower-like attack in which he tracks the player, trying to burn them alive. This molten boss would drop the Molten Key, one of 2 keys, the other of which I'll discuss in a future video. And when his trophy is taken to the sacrificial stone at spawn, you'll get the Magma Incarnate ability. Once active, you will become immune to overheating effects and fire, and all of your attacks will burn enemies. An enemy that attacks you will also be set ablaze. To summon him, you need 5 previously mentioned casted crystals dropped from obsidian golems and place them into the Forsaken altar named the Molten Core. Now with the boss and enemies out of the way, it's time to cool off and take a closer look at the biome itself. Now it's time I introduce you to a new biome-specific mechanic, overheating. Much like the mountains in Deep North's freezing effect, coming into this place requires the right stuff. Unless wet or using the new heat resistance mead made with freezing glands, you will slowly die of overheating in this zone. And luckily enough, I didn't need to come up with a new ore, as there's already one in the Ashlands, flame metal, requiring an iron pick to mine and a blast furnace to smelt. More about that later. But for now, let's add some life into this ash desert with some petrified trees. A stony tree that requires a pickaxe to break, and with it, it drops the all-new petrified pear, a new food. Or how about the charred cacti, another new food. Or plant one yourself as a prickly trap that burns enemies it pricks. But besides those 2 plants and some other shrubs, I like the idea of the Ashlands being a near empty, ashen desert filled with fire and rivers of lava. Instead of mountains, there could be volcanoes with periodic eruptions that spawn tons of Surtlings and can sometimes drop flame metal. But with some life added to the desert, let's see what we can make with some of this stuff. I have a bit of a different idea for how these weapons could be made. But first up, we already have a weapon that's in the game, the Durnwin, a currently unobtainable weapon only accessible via console commands, now would be made available by upgrading a black metal sword with flame metal and fire glands at a maxed out forge. And this is how we'll be upgrading our black metal weapons and tools to flame metal, by not replacing them, but upgrading them with flame metal directly. Kind of like Minecraft's system of upgrading a diamond sword to netherite via a smithing table. Next is the Fireborn armor, made with flame metal and obsidian and black metal. This armor would provide immunity to overheating, but you would also take damage in water and in rain. Next is the Flaming Pyre, an upgrade to the Iron Sledge, a double-handed mace-like weapon that would strike the ground, leaving a volcanic eruption for big AoE damage. And with that, I think my vision for what a complete Ashlands could be like is complete. Make sure to leave a suggestion down in the comments below if you liked, and have a good one, you beautiful bastards. See ya.